everyone, Kevin here, and I want to welcome you to this Gobbler's Roost adventure. Now, as you can see, it's drizzly outside, so I'm shooting out of my garage. This video is about the Big Bear Selfbow. I think I've talked about it in a few other videos, and I got a viewer question about asking to show the Selfbow, the Big Bear Selfbow, and talk about it a little bit more. So today's video is a slideshow of the Big Bear Selfbow and what I built it for and the hunt that I took it on. That's a pretty fair grouping. Now the idea for the Big Bear Selfbow, well, that came about because my buddy, a good buddy of mine, Hole in the Boat Chuck, was thinking about going on an Alberta bear hunt. And we decided to go on that hunt. And Chuck is a pretty well-known boyer. Me, I'm not. I've only made one or two bows. But we both decided to make bows that were special for this Alberta bear hunt. And we were down in Tennessee one spring for the Twin Oaks Archers Tennessee Classic. The best, by far, primitive classic, primitive shoot on the planet. Twin Oaks, they set the best archery courses, bar none, that you're going to see. And the bow making facilities, fantastic. And all of the guys down there, they will welcome you with open arms. Go to the Tennessee Classic if you get a chance. Well, we were down there, Chuck and I, and they have raffles, and I saw this stave, an Osage stave in the raffles, and it said Monster Osage, and it was from Osage Outlaw, someone I know, Clint, from Indiana. Well, Clint had donated this Osage stave to the raffles to help support the Twin Oaks, and he called it the 100 Stave Monster Osage tree, because from this tree that he cut down on his farm, he got 100 Osage staves. That's quite a few. So I put a bunch of tickets in, and I actually won the darn stave. Oh, that was my lucky day. Got my draw knife out, and chased a ring, and when I thought I had a good backing to it, and when I thought I had gotten a good ring, I penciled out my directions, my dimensions on the bow. Got my Nicholson rasp out and started rasping away, getting it down to the lines I needed. Eventually, I got it up on the tillering board, and we started flexing it and working it, and more scraping, and I was shooting for 50 pounds, and I only got it to right about 50 pounds. I think it came out at 53 pounds in the end. But I wanted to make this bow a special bow for the hunt, so I inlaid silver and brass bear paw on the handle, and around that I carved a fish scale scallop pattern for my grip. I put in an ebony button for the arrow rest, and bloodwood and ebony overlays on the nocks. In the top knock I carved to resemble Black Bear. Lastly, for a little bit of extra mojo, I put a bear fat finish on it. We were hunting with Big Bear Outfitters, and we got there a day early, and immediately they put us up in the tree stands. We settled our gear down, I think, had a sandwich, and we were up in tree stands. And my first day was pretty eventful. Within an hour and a half, I heard a duck fly noisily off of the pond. I heard a twig crack, and here comes a bear walking right in. Kind of walks in, he checks the whole area out, checks me out, and goes to the bait. Eventually, he wanders off, and before I know it, here comes another bear. And I'm thinking, oh, it's the same one. And then again, here comes another bear and joins him, and they start messing around. And before I know it, one bear chases another bear up the tree. And I'm watching them, and I realize they're probably siblings. They're not big bears. They're not young either, but oh, it stayed light up there until almost 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And just before dark, the two bears came in, and the outfitters were using a beaver carcass hung on a pole between two trees as the bait. And they went over, and they were wrestling and going at that beaver, and I could hear the bones crunching. And just as it's getting dark, I see a really big bear, and it's circling behind me, and it's getting dark, and it gets real dark, and I know there's a big bear somewhere behind me, and all I can hear, I can't see him, but all I can hear in the dark are these two bears out at the beaver carcass crunching bones. And well, it turned out the outfitter was a little late picking me up because one of the other guys in camp got a bear that first night. But that was my first night bear hunting. It was a real cool hunt. I saw a lot of different animals on that hunt. I saw, I think, about a total of 26 bears in the 6 days that we hunted. We saw bison. There were bison roaming free up there. I saw lynx in the road. Saw wolverine. Oh, on the drive up, we saw a wolf run across the road. It was real cool. My first bear. Oh, I'm sitting there in the stand, and it's starting to get dark, and I can hear whippoorwills off in the distance, and there's a beaver on the pond slapping his tail, and I'm just enjoying the evening. And right out from under me, I never heard him approaching, but right out from under my stand walks a nice bear, and walks up and checks everything out. And obviously he knew I was there because he knew I was there before I knew he was there. He didn't care. He walked up to the bait, and he started messing around up there. And at a certain point, he presented me with a really good shot. And, well, I took it, and I was really happy to get my first black bear with an Osage Selfbow. Mama and Cubs night. That was an interesting night. That was the most action-packed night of the hunt. Nice bear. Walks in kind of cautiously, walks in, looks around, looks the whole situation over, looks at the beaver, comes right up to my stand and looks right up at me from probably 10 yards. And I was wondering if I was going to shoot this bear, but it was a nice chunky bear, but it wasn't a really, really big one. I was thinking of shooting it, and then I see a little bit of black coming in, and here comes a cub. Okay, so I know it's a sow, and here comes another cub, and another. Before I know it, I got mama and 3 cubs in front of me. 10, 20, 25, 30 yards. They're there. They're there for the whole hunt for 8 hours. And what a night being there. They wrestled over the beaver. The cubs argued and fought. Mama kept guard, and I think 3 times boars approached, and she sent the bears, the cubs up the tree, and she chased the boars off. And then one time, just before evening, here comes a really big boar. And she sends them up the tree, and she's sitting there with her back to the tree right in front of me at about 15 yards. And she's popping her jaws, and she's looking at him, and he comes in, and she's snarling and slapping her paws on the ground, and he's looking at her, and he looks at me, and he looks at her and back at me, and he says, "Screw it," and he walks right up and lays down and starts licking cake frosting out of the bait barrel. Yeah, he had a sweet tooth. And she's behind him, just like 15 yards from him, popping her jaws, and he's laying there right in front of me, about 10 yards, and I'm ready to shoot, but I need him to stand up. And I'm waiting and waiting. He's laying down there on the ground, and she's worrying and popping her jaws and stuff like that, and he's licking away, ignoring us. And after about 5 or 10 minutes of this, all of a sudden he stands up and looks past me, and I'm like, what the heck? And I look behind me, and there all of a sudden I see a wolverine just loping through at about 15, 20 yards. And I look back at the bear, trying to get ready to get a shot, and he runs off flying away with Mama Bear behind him, snarling and snapping and roaring and make sure, and he keeps going. I was in this new stand, and it was a cool stand. The hunt was about 7.5 to 8 hours long. And other than a little vole or a red squirrel, I didn't see anything except for one bear that came in, walked around the bait, in about 15 yards, looked like it was ready to walk off, but it stopped and stood there broadside. And I took my shot, and it was a good shot. It went right where it was supposed to go, and I had my second bear. We had a great time, and that's how I ended my Big Bear Selfbow hunt up in Alberta. And this Big Bear Osage Selfbow has done me well. I also took a deer with it the next year, so I was very happy with that. It has treated me well for a number of years, and I hope it continues to do that for quite a few more years. So, that is the Big Bear Osage Selfbow, and the hunt I took it on up in northern Alberta with Big Bear Outfitters. I hope you enjoyed the slideshow. If you did, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. I'm Kevin for Gobbler's Roost Adventures.